Yo, 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 welcome to Made to Think with your host, Ninjam. This is the Ninjam Skit Ocho, and this is one of my most compelling tales, let's say. This story was inspired by my father, who had a distinguished career working in the UK Navy on top secret missions in submarines. And I got to grow up listening to his stories of good and bad. This title is called Man United. Now, anybody that knows me, I'm a diehard Manchester City fan. I'm a blue through and through. So why the hell would I call my story Man United? Let's get into it. In the past, there was the United States of America. Now it's corporate America. There is nothing united about it. It's a business, and it's the biggest of them all. What is the aim? Team America, world police, before global domination. The entire system of commerce is based on water and sex. Almost all of mythology is exactly the same. It's what we call reproduction. There are two major laws, the law of the land and sea. The law of the land, this law is based on the culture of people living in different countries, what we now refer to as customs. More importantly is the law of the sea, or the law of water. And what separates water? River banks. All forms of ships are always referred to as female. She, sheep, you, a ship. She delivers the product, while the male, he makes the product, where we get manufactures. She is then in labor, building the product, and when her water breaks, the product comes out. When you get married, you need a license, and your first duty now is to the corporation, because you are a valued security asset making money for the body social. Work, pay bills, and taxes. Marriage secures a double asset and more family profits. When you retire, you get social security, but the reality is you're the security social until you are no longer needed. When a ship pulls into a port to park, we call it a berth. A berth. Every item on the ship represents money, and each item delivered at berth needs a certificate of manifest describing the item in detail. A birth certificate, which needs to be authorized and signed by the doc. I'm sitting on a dock, a doctor. If any cargo is lost at sea, a death certificate is required because the body social doesn't want to lose any valuable assets. Your tax paying is their bread and butter. However, all cargo is always backed with insurance because they don't need to pay for any losses. That's why you need a license to work for the corporation. In the old days, a republic was a free man. You were the king and the queen of your own estate, and guns were only ever used to solve any beef if spoken word was no longer an option. This was a time when humans were a sovereign, until some reason we allowed a king and a queen to rule over the land and make the majority vote over the voice of the people. At birth, the body is 78% water when your mother's water breaks. Everything in commerce is based on water. Shipping, that's where we get the saying, don't rock the boat, or we run a tight ship. The United States is now US citizenship. Then follows dealership, sportsmanship. I mean, look, I'm a Man City fan, but sports are designed to separate people, and it does a cracking job. Banks are on both sides of a river. River banks, controlling the direction of the currency. Money is water. It comes in and it goes out. A flow, cash flow, a liquid asset. Private companies cannot make laws, but they can implement company policies. Therefore, we require policy makers, aka politicians or police. Now you are a US citizen owned by a private corporate company. Corporate law demands a president, a vice president, and a secretary of treasury. The Federal Reserve's and Internal Revenue HQ is based in Puerto Rico, not in the USA. This location was chosen 1,000 years ago by the Pirates of the Caribbean, where we get piracy and even the Panama Papers. The black skull and crossbones flag represents Freemasons, toxic poisons, and deadly chemicals. And guess what? It's also a symbol of death. This flag was important in the deadly game of the high seas, in which you require an admiral. The Admiralty Law. In the past, a pirate ship would entice an enemy ship by waving a friendly flag. And once the ship was close, they would swap the flag with the skull and bones, the Jolly Roger flag. Hurry, lads! Hence, we get the saying, false flag, or showing your true colors. And there's plenty of that going on in the world right now, even with people you may consider to be your friends. So beware. True money is gold and silver. Back in the day, you could swap your paper money for real money, legal tender. Now, gold represents the sun and silver represents the moon. Years ago, the Round Table Group, aka the Knights Templar, got together on the island of Jackal in Georgia, USA, to discuss how they can trick the world with a fractional banking system. The bank gets $1 from the Federal Reserve. There are no reserves. And the bank now has authority from the corporation to turn that $1 into $10. Where's the $9, mate? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Hide and seek, Bonnie and Clyde. The United Kingdom, believe it or not, now owns America through the Roman system of financial enslavement. These guys are the fight promoters of the 20th century. Now, on a $1 bill, the pyramid represents the male, the penis. Just like a male toilet sign is always a triangle. The pyramid is inside a circle representing the female sign, the ovaries, the Oval Office. Reproduction is money. The all-seeing eye is that of the southern pole of Saturn. And it's well noted that the rings of Saturn are not a natural structure. New rings are being formed continuously. The Lord of the Rings. Anuconceptus means to nod, to approve, meaning our plan is working nicely. Novus Ordem Seclorum is the new order of things. The new world order, baby. Brave new world. And this was advocated several hundred years ago by Clinton Roosevelt and explained in depth in a book called Philip Drew, Administrator, by Colonel Edward Mandell House. Cracking little read, that. Now, the eagle represents the sun and the all-seeing eye. A Star of David can be joined like a dot to dot inside the 13 stars above the eagle. There are 32 and 33 feathers in the eagle's wings, representing the 32nd and 33rd degrees of Freemasonry. Left and right wings. Government and the saying, if you do wrong, you will get the 3rd degree. 13 stripes of the original American flag. 13 arrows. 13 leaves and berries. Now Google which pillar Princess Diana's car crashed into under the tunnel in Paris on August the 31st, 1997, the day before my birthday and a very symbolic date for Satanists, which was also the same year an American Werewolf in Paris was released on the 31st of October, Halloween. What a coincidence. In 1981, The American Werewolf in London came out. The same year, Peter William Sutcliffe was convicted of the Moors murders, aka the Yorkshire Ripper. Stay off the moors. What a coincidence. The Star of David, the 13 stars, are also linked to the mysterious hexagon on the top pole of Saturn, Satan. According to some theories, Saturn and the moon are giant interconnected frequency satellites which operate to alter human perspective on Earth. Well, one thing's for sure. The moon people are pulling one hell of a moonie right now in front of our eyes wide shut. Now, at the end of the sequel to 2001 Space Odyssey, which was titled 2010, The Year We Make Contact, which was released in 1984, George Orwell, in that movie, Russia states at the very end, you can have the rest of the earth except Europa. Do not land here. And so began the build-up to the next great battle, And who is currently at war? Russia. As the world becomes more dependent on the corporation, those who are poor and cannot pay taxes will be left to scrap on the streets in racial and hatred wars. And nothing makes money better than a good old scrap. The world's natural energy lines, the ley lines, have been damaged, and human chakras and our etheric body vibrations have been overrun with a negative and harmful agenda. And if you don't believe me, just switch on the mainstream news. Go for it, fella. Volcano activity, great flooding, manipulated geo-weather. It's a buildup of the Earth's struggle to compensate for our ignorance. And as we move into the age of Aquarius, the water bearer, we should all embrace for a great spiritual awakening. Time is of the essence. Stand strong, remember to love, be kind, and always show compassion, and avoid all altercations. And be wary of what is really going on around you. Engage everything with an open mind and be non-judgmental, and know when to walk away and fight a battle on another day. Get healthy, get moving. Very important. But I like to drink and I love a smoke like most, but I do know that these are poisons to keep us subdued, to subdue that third eye. Get lean, get smart, and listen to your heart and trust yourself first. Remember who you are. Don't let the so-called professions and experts bully you into a false awareness and reality. They are programmed to do just that. And also watch out for the television, because it's a program, remember? We are designed to survive like all living creatures, except we seem to be the only species that loves pumping ourselves full of poison, hatred, selfishness, and jealousy. Mother Earth needs our help right now. We need to rebalance the positive forces and learn to be united once again. A city of man and woman, Man City. Champions. I'll see you later. Having it large.